go live.
Here we go.
Hey, there we are. Nicole, seriously, for that ladies in leadership thing, you got to get my wife on there. She's the most amazing leader I've ever met.
Really?
She leads
Yep.
Tony
Absolutely.
everywhere.
You should definitely introduce me to her because we would love to have people on. We do these mini-sodes now, and they are bringing.
She led Tony around Disneyland,
and it's really cool. So yes, I would love to talk to her.
Hey, we're live,
I'll get in
gang.
touch with her. Oh, hey, everybody.
Oh, hi, everybody.
Welcome. Look at Tony's hat,
Hi.
everybody.
Look at that. Kyle
Yeah.
Lintner sent me this hat and shirt.
You did too.
Commercial.
Pay for credential. That's what we need. Get some credentials. We gotta get it all out of there. Hey, Nick Roomer, he's out there trying to spread the word on.
I'm just
Size
saying.
21. He'll sponsor it, all that stuff. But
No, it's not sponsored. It's just I'm a big fan of K Ratio, and it was Christmas at my house. I got a care package.
oh geez. But hey guys, I'm on the road here. I got my son's at a field trip camp. I had to pick him up after the show at 7:30, so I went ahead and did the hour trip north to get here first. And so I'll be coming to you live from Love's Travel Stop. Just got to whip the laptop out and get on their Wi-Fi.
Where were you, TJ? At the Pokagon Band of the Potawatomi Indian State Park?
That is where I will be, Tony Darnell, connected to Lake James in Indiana, northern Indiana.
Home of the world's largest man-made toboggan run.
It is, and it's a blast, and it's very fun. Only in the winter, though.
Only in the winter. It is very hot in the summer. It's a giant slide.
But yeah, so you got Tony Darnell. He's always with us. Me and him are best friends. And he got his new hat. Kyle Lintner set a hat and a T-shirt. He got it there quick. Yeah, I think he got a Sprinter van off of Selectus. Went straight through with it. So he's excited. Yeah. Nicole Glenn's here. Started with us. Always still around. I mean, she's on everything. Seems like. And so it's been fun to watch her develop and grow. And what's cool is I reach out and it's would you like to come back on? And it's yep, absolutely.
I get
no. What's that?
I got so giddy. I couldn't last week when you had asked, and I got giddy when you asked. And then when I heard Christy was coming too, I was like, "Booyah! That's gonna be awesome."
Yeah.
Plus,
Well,
I miss Tony's smiling face for sure.
And his intermittent delays in his internet, but that's always fun too. But that's what you get when you're hard work. He's coming straight from the docks. We got Christy Knitschel here. Christy's been around forever too. It seems like. I mean, since almost the beginning. I mean, she's been on some shows before. She's been, the cool part is some people are just open to helping people and working with people. I mean, I've had her. I mean, talk with people at Circle that are on my team, help them with leadership stuff, or help them with intermodal stuff even. So we've had a good relationship for quite a while. She's got a lot to share, and both her and Nicole have that leadership. Why don't you guys talk a little bit about that? About your the Women Leadership Coalition?
Yeah, for sure. So for a long time, Christy's been a mentor to me. She's helped me, I mean, with so many different topics. I call her and I'm like, hey, blah, 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 blah. What about this? And she has given me so much insight that's really helped me grow my company. And so I said to her around Christmas time, I was like, what we need to do? We need to help women and just people, I should say people in general, in the business field. So we decided to get together and start interviewing some women who ran their own companies. And we have a total of 6 women now that are on our panelists, or that are all panelists. And we come together once a month right now for Ladies Leadership Coalition. We actually have our next episode this next Wednesday at noon Eastern. And what that is all of us getting together and just trying to help people establish themselves within their careers, or help them with questions that they have, and just throw some great topics out there that can help them better themselves. And then also see that business women and business individuals are real people. We go through all the same things that everyone else does in their career. And we try to just become vulnerable and talk to people and give them insight and knowledge on some of the things that we've gone through. So we're only on our 3rd episode. We're trying to obviously get more of a following so that we can really answer more questions. So if you are watching this and you need answers or insight on your career, please email us. We should throw the link in this below after the show so people could come to it. But we're just trying to help people. So Christy is on it. Christy, what insight do you have on the topic of it? It's fun. We love it.
Yeah, no, I absolutely love it because I didn't get a whole lot of help within my career figuring out how to do the things I had to do as I moved up within my own company. So reaching out was a very difficult thing for me, especially being in a male-dominated industry because I started 24 years ago. So I think the biggest thing that I love about it is being able to help not just other women, like Nicole said, but other business people, whether that's women, men, whoever, so that we can help them further along their careers, maybe not make mistakes that we've made, or just, give them some other options, solutions to help them, whether it's grow themselves, their business, whatever it might be. I think the biggest thing that people miss, like in business in general, is just how important networking is and being able to reach out and put yourself out there, because that's the one thing I didn't want to do. And when I did, just the company started to kind of blow up, and I'm being asked to do, articles and interviews and all these different things. And it really helped me grow as a person, but then meeting so many other people that wanted to help me down the road. So I just want to give back and be able to share. So it's important.
Yeah, it's great. We only know what we know. And so when you're running a business or you're even in a stage in your career, that's all you operate in that space all the time. And so to have people that have either gone further or they've done different things, it really just opens up your mind to different options. And so it's a great way to give back, like Christy said, and do good things. And like I said, she's been amazing to me. So anything she's even given to me, I want to give out to other business leaders too. So it's so.
I love that you guys are doing this.
Change.
It's awesome to watch. It's not just ladies in leadership that's happening. It's just you're just killing it in leadership in general. I mean, Christy, you had an important phone call today. Why don't you tell us a little bit about that, if you can?
Was it Donald Trump?
It's awesome.
Almost.
Yeah. Yeah, I wish. No. So I sit on the board of the TIA, Transportation Intermediaries Association. So if you're not a member, you should become a member as a broker, 3PL out there. They have a lot of education, and, they work with the brokers to, really get your voice out there and bring carriers together with brokers. And a big thing is the advocacy within the government, and whether it's infrastructure for trucking, the laws that are out there for the carriers, whether that's, hours of service, et cetera. But I did ask to be on a call today. That was a very important call. And it was in regards to trying to push and get support for a law to be passed to really get some of the data and information out there that we need as companies to make sure that the carriers that we're booking and the trucks that we're using are safe on the roadways. One of the things that was talked about is there's 400,000, plus carriers out there. And I think only 7,000 to 9,000 get audited every year. And there's a lot of bad actors out there. So what I talked about is like our company or our customers, I think sometimes they struggle to use companies like us because we don't have our own assets. So they feel safer, maybe more comfortable with companies that have their own trucks. So they want to know that whoever we're using in our relationships are safe drivers and they're doing the right things. Even though as a company, we go through all those processes, there's still not real, good, I don't know what you want to call it, but checkpoints out there for these carriers to make sure the safe ones are on the road. So it was really trying to push that, get our point across, and then get support to get this law passed. So, hopefully we're going to do enough to get it done. But part of my role within the TIA now too is really to help work with the government and making our industry just a better industry for shippers, carriers, 3PLs, whoever it might be. So it was a pretty cool call to be on today, and I'm getting more involved in it. So it's extremely important stuff. Very cool stuff too.
It's so awesome. You guys aren't just leaders in the industry. You're just leaders in general, which is really cool to say that I know you guys. Awesome stuff, man.
I don't know what to say. Thanks, Tony. She's way beyond. So
yeah,
she should do one of these.
Well, listen, I think the cool thing though is like I sit there and tell people like I'm just a normal person just trying to do the right thing and make people aware and have people join that journey and being able to share it and network with other people. And I really think as much as I was afraid to kind of be out there, I love it now. And I'd love to be able to share it, and I want to bring more people with me. So you guys all got to join my tribe here.
Yep.
Definitely. Hey, TJ, what were you saying right before?
This
Uh-oh.
Looks like the Love's truck stop doesn't have great audio connection. No offense, Loves. I love you.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
industry
Well,
it's weird. It's I think
there he
because
is.
the industry is weird. Because, can you hear me? Well, I'm not connected to it yet. Oh, you can hear me now?
yeah,
Yep.
there
All
you go.
I'll get it figured out.
Yep.
Oh, okay. All right. Am I loud and clear here?
Yep.
Yes.
No, I was just saying the great part about this industry, it's kind of weird, but it's cool, is that you get to that point. I feel like, because I think maybe because it's so hard, not hard, but like it is such a journey, I guess, to get to a certain level, and you find that just, I don't know why, you like want to give back, you want to share, you want to like, have people kind of like coming from, starting really small. So, but yeah, just like giving back is just something that I think I see a lot of people in the industry do, and it's cool to watch you guys do the same.
Well, it's really cool to watch certain people growing up in the industry. So even something like Megan Reed, hearing her story when we had Hold My Beer, where it was all the ladies came on and we were all chatting, and you just hear these different stories of what people have against them, what people have for them, and what they're trying to accomplish. And to watch them take those steps and really grow up is just, it's awesome. It should be celebrated. I don't think we celebrate that type of stuff enough. And so it's when you bring those people together and you create those tribes, there's so many wins going on, with doing that. So it's awesome. So we geek out on that. Yeah.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I would say when I
TJ, you're really sketchy.
Yeah, you might want to get to a good spot.
Just mute that guy.
Yeah, I'm getting it worked out. I got that. Give me a second.
He's muted.
Your
Is
technical
there?
difficulty.
Christy, what were you going to say though?
So one thing I was gonna say was, growing up in the industry, the cool thing is some of the people I work with now, and even a guy that's doing some stuff for me, they worked with my father and they saw me as a kid. I mean, like 8 years old. And then I started working for my dad when I was 19 and I'm 44. And like, it's just cool because some of those same people worked with my dad, and I, worked my way up through the chain and have done so many different things. And I don't know, like you said, like the journey, when you look back, I sit there and think like, wow, like I did so much stuff, but then in the same token, like I've met so many awesome people. And back then you wouldn't even think about like talking to your competitor, or, that was something that me and my dad talked about. Now it's about like, let me talk to my competitor. What do you do? And what can I do to help you? And vice versa. So I love how it's evolved.
Yep, I agree.
That is awesome. So the topics that we wanted to go over tonight are like the status update of Expedite and Intermodal brokerage operations. What's the present, probable future, and the state of these two modes, which there is no better input than you two. Christy,
Well,
you're up. What is the present and probable future state of Intermodal?
Let's see.
You got all the
present
containers.
state
Are
is
you hoarding them?
chaos. Actually, no, the railroads have them stacked still. Yeah, to believe it or not, there's containers that are still stacked. I think one of the biggest issues is chassis shortages in the industry. And there's a lot of delays at the ramps. And one of the biggest things that just came up just now is like the port drivers not wanting to go into these ramps, specifically in Chicago, because of the wait times and not having a chassis. And then they have to get in a flip line. And I mean, the amount of time that they're spending is just absolutely ridiculous. And then obviously off the West Coast, the markets are pretty much closed for any kind of new dedicated business. You can get some transactional pricing off the West Coast, but I've seen truck pricing being lower right now than rail, because the rail's trying to protect what they have now and kind of push those other people off to truck. But it's still not stopping the demand, still asking for ways to do that, because I think some companies just still can't find the trucks, even if, you know, depending on who they're using. So, I mean, I would say we definitely, it's worse this year than it was last year. I would say it's gotten a little bit better, but it just depends like where you're at. On the East Coast, like in Chicago, you know, you got the Norfolk Southern, CSX. The Norfolk Southern in particular had some issues in Chicago that's taken roughly 2 months, 2.5 months to fix, where you can't really do a whole lot on that side. So
did it get better, or did we just get used to it?
I think probably a little bit of both. You know, we were just told by the Norfolk Southern, they are slowly getting a little bit better, and we are seeing a little bit of that. The CSX, we really haven't seen a whole lot of issues with them. I almost feel like we talked about this. CSX started with the PSR, which is something that the Canadian railroads had put in place, and when Hunter Harris came to CSX, implemented years ago. And it's positive. It's supposed to be positive for the whole network as far as making things more efficient, but they cut back a lot of terminals, cut back a lot of lanes, which actually moved a lot of that business off to the truck side. But CSX definitely seems to be in the best position to handle what's going on. But yeah, I think a lot of customers have gotten used to it. It's kind of who can get me a box, and depending on what your network is capturing that box and making sure you reload it and not bring it back to the ramp empty. So that's kind of been something that we're trying to work with our sales team on, and customers too, especially in those areas that are difficult. And I can tell you the one thing that I hate most, you know, more than anything is, you know, you have Chicago and LA, which are the two worst markets right now. When you're having customers constantly ask you for help out of those markets, and you just can't do anything out of those markets unless you have extra capacity. Sometimes it happens, sometimes it doesn't.
How do you
So
get
I would say it's a little bit of both, Tony. I mean,
how do you even get that, Christy? Like, how would you obtain that?
You really can't get the extra capacity unless you're moving freight into an area that you're not moving freight out of, and you're able to capture freight coming out of that area and use the capacity you already have. Okay. I know off the West Coast and the East Coast, if you're not locked into contracts, you know, with these railroads on certain deals, and if you don't have enough business, you just can't. That's, you know, the challenge. I will say the door-to-door products that are out there, there's definitely some capacity there at times, but the price, I know right now, sometimes cross country from California is like $9,000 on a transactional price coming out of California, like going to New York or, you know, Maryland or whatnot. So it's also finding other solutions. So customers that can use 40s in certain areas, we've been able to kind of do that for them too, where we can provide 40-foot boxes in some markets. But again, going out to LA, there's issues with terminating boxes. And depending on what line you're using, you might take a month to terminate a box and chassis, which is going to cost a lot of money. You know, so what we've also done too is I had a new customer that was using someone using 40s that couldn't pick up something for 3 weeks. We priced the 53, and we had boxes coming in Dallas that we weren't reloading, you know, a few of them, and we were able to use a 53 on his product to go out to LA, and it was actually cheaper than the 40-foot pricing he was paying. So it's really just looking at things that you haven't looked at before, or talking to your customer about different ways, because loading a 40 versus a 53 is different. You know, and another name you guys know, Michael Nemi, one of your friends, Nicole, yeah. You know, he was on your show, reached out to me to do some intermodal for a customer that's never done intermodal. So we're doing a little bit of intermodal for him too. So he's finding some other options for his customers doing modes that they wouldn't typically do.
He does everything.
Yes. Yes. So it's interesting. I'm going to be doing a, go ahead, Nicole.
No, I was like almost doing a tangent, Jack and Coke brain moment where I was like, I miss him. I haven't talked to him. So nothing worthwhile. Just, hey, Michael, if you're listening, I miss you. Yeah. Right, so go ahead. Right. Fine.
Same.
But yeah, I mean, I think the thing is, you know, even though there's challenges within intermodal, it's talking to the different providers and seeing who can do what for you, because everyone has different business in different markets. And even though we do a lot out of certain markets into other markets, we might not have freight coming out of markets that we have boxes in. And I reach out to local competitors and say, hey, I need a box in NorCal. And she's like, can you help me down in Texas? And I'm like, yeah, I'll give you the carrier, and they pick up the box for her and vice versa. It's just really using your network, like I said, and really building that and trying to figure out how do you have this, solve a solution for your customer when you're in a situation that you just can't get more equipment from the railroads.
Yeah. And I think that's the same thing that we're even, oh, I'm sorry, Christy, I thought you were done. Please continue.
No, that's okay. I forgot to talk about the future of railroading. So I think the future, it's going to continue to be like this throughout the end of the year. I think going into first quarter is still going to be challenging as well. But I think it is a new norm, and we just have to continue to find solutions and different options and different ways, whether it's coming out of a different ramp or working with a competitor to exchange boxes in certain areas or whatever you can do. I have a couple agents that we have on board that do stuff with drawer products, and it's even just talking to our own agents and how they're moving their stuff, and hey, you have boxes coming in this area, can I use some? And vice versa. Conversations like I would say you wouldn't typically have in the past. And now, it's kind of like, well, why didn't we do this before? Because it's more strategic and it always should have been that way. But now you're forced to do it.
What do you
so
see?
I'm done now.
Do you see an end? I mean, do you see like a Q3, Q4 slowdown? Just out of curiosity, what do you?
I don't.
Best guess.
No, I think that the international market, so going into that a little bit, the international market impacts truck, expedite, intermodal, everything that's coming in California, all the different ports. I say California just because it's the biggest port, but a lot of that stuff comes in and gets transloaded into containers that get put on the railroad. So it really does impact. And if you look at what's going on in the international market, there's no signs of that slowing down anytime soon. So I think we're going to be in this until I would anticipate even maybe, first quarter next year, or maybe even through first quarter next year. But again, I mean, even talking with the Union Pacific, because it's like, hey, we need more boxes. You can't get more boxes. They have boxes stacked. It's not that they don't have the boxes, they don't have the chassis. And that's causing a lot of the issues too. So like sometimes when you hear like, oh, there's just not enough equipment. I mean, in some cases there is, but the other piece isn't there. So, but I do think the international market's going to be a huge impact on all of it.
Yeah.
Good stuff. And that's where I was going to kind of segment in is what she had just said. Everything that we do in transportation is a domino effect. So when you start at international freight coming in to port, delays there, truckload spikes with actual assets on the ground, it all just does this boom, boom, boom. And we are the first industry where people are making decisions on what's going to happen with the economy, right? So all we see is, for me at least, every month is increase. And that's due to the fact of things are not slowing down, but customers are starting to also look at other alternatives. For example, we have a lot of clients who came to us and they were like, hey, we were running, 6-7 skids in a trailer, and, we're seeing ridiculously high costs, or we're not getting the service that we need. We can't put this on LTL. What can we do? So companies are starting to get smarter. So that's where when I say Expedite, you're still cutting costs by going to Expedite to identify some of these opportunities that people were moving in full truckload. And so we're seeing an increase of new customers across the country. I mean, for us, there's not one spot. I mean, normally you see produce season, or you see something like a domino effect in some cluster of an area, but it just seems to be a constant go forward on the expedited side. And then in the automotive industry, everyone is still staying in that just-in-time mindset. So when you're doing that, that does create, again, another domino effect where things tend to hit my side of the world. So I always think of myself as the last line of defense to get something to where it needs to go. And it's just constantly going and it's just constantly booming. I wish I had an insight on Expedite. It's like the only thing that's never really reported on. You can get such great information on truckload. You can go on all these different platforms and see things. But with Expedite, you're looking at your data and you're trying to look at everyone else's data to understand if you're going to keep increasing. But I will tell you too that this year, I've never had so much contracted expedited work than I've had this year. So as far as going forward, I'm like Christy, I wish I had a crystal ball. I mean, it'd be great, but I feel like it is going to continue through the remainder of this year and bleed into the beginning of next as well. There just seems to be no slowdown. So
I have 2 questions for you.
And there,
Sorry, Christy. I have questions for Nicole.
Yeah.
First, are people going to you for expedites that aren't really hot, that aren't really expedited? They're just
are they good looking?
yes. Oh, I think Tony's internet. You came on, TJ.
Okay, my internet froze up. There we
Let's
go.
And then
go,
your
Bob.
internet froze up. So no, what you were saying was, are people coming to you for that extra capacity, right? Basically,
Yes.
it's not time sensitive.
Hang on a second. I gotta drop out for 1 second.
Okay, bye. Yes, that is definitely the case because they're seeking that capacity. They're seeking the cost reduction too. I think before they're paying exorbitant amounts for things coming out of California, across country, this. So it's like, what else can we do? And I've talked to a ton of people that they're still in this little bubble where they're still moving 1 to 2 skids on a truckload. And I'm like, wow, how? But it happens, for however their supply chain was running, they have to get stuff out, delivered, done, waiting on their production team to get freight made because they've been waiting on parts or whatever the case is. And so, yeah, I mean, it's definitely something that's happening quite a bit.
My other comment was not really a question, but it's tangential to the conversation. If you get involved as a supplier or anybody involved with just-in-time inventory or just-in-time production, be very careful. It's very, very expensive for everybody else in the supply chain. Very, very expensive. My experience with just-in-time has not been positive in any sense.
I think you have to run a very, very tight ship. And it does work for some of the humongous companies out there because they have such leverage with their suppliers to get things done. So if you're running a mid-sized company to do that, it's very challenging because you
become their warehouse.
Yeah.
Well, you got other ways to pay for it too. So like, we're set with Ford, GM, the bigger companies, and hey, you got contracted lanes and you fail, or you got a truck going in and he breaks down or whatever it is. Something happens, they expedite it out, but they expedite it out at your cost.
Right.
So they're going to take the closest truck, pay whatever it takes, and they're going to charge you back for it. So there's other ways that they find that to get around it. But yeah, I mean, the thing is though, if you can get into it, they already know they're paying, that's the difference. I mean, them having a plant shut down, they'll pay, $3,000 to take a box of bolts from Detroit to Lansing because it'll save them, $45,000.
In shutdown fees, right?
Yep.
Exactly. You have a crew of people just standing there and machines not going.
Yeah.
And it's not even just automotive. You'd be surprised to see how many food companies are operating in this method as well. Whether it's making pasta, whatever you want to call it. I mean, any type of food is running on that quite a bit, from their packaging materials that are coming in, raw ingredients. I mean, it's very common.
It was cool because I had like an expedite background just because of the automotive. When I first started, I had an account. What was it? I can't remember it. But I was able to open up other avenues, and other doors because of that experience. But I remember getting they didn't want to pay the rate they were going to pay for this full truckload, but it had to go. So I found a Sprinter van because it was only 2 pallets. I didn't even know you could do this, but I got 2 pallets of tortillas to go down from Chicago down to Texas for the grand opening of a Chili's. Yeah. And they paid I saved the money by getting a Sprinter van, but yeah, they had to go, it had to be there. They had people in on the tracking, we got to know it's here. It's crazy.
It is. And then there's other options
well,
too.
And I will add.
Go ahead, Christy.
Sorry, I was going to add to what you were saying, Nicole. Like, I know we had opportunities from Wendy's where they specifically expedite their taco salad stuff. Like, that's the one product that they're like, we have to have it there. We can't run out. It's expedite.
Mhm.
I don't know that they had any charge. Actually, I think they did have minimal charges in place, but what I would just say for my company from that standpoint, we don't typically take that type of freight, or we're very careful about what we do, because I feel that is like a niche. And if you're not working with the right partners, you're going to be stuck, in a bad spot. And we did have an automotive company that wanted to do business with us, but the railroad basically told us, unless you have experience and unless, they work with you, because the railroads get fined just like the company does if it's not there. So it's kind of crazy.
Yeah, that was my thought. If you're going to get into that just-in-time supply chain as a provider or a vendor or whatever it is, service that you offer, you just need to know and be aware of the possibility of ridiculously high chargebacks.
Yeah,
We're talking like the reward's great, but we our Expedite division just in the Fort Wayne office is. I don't know if I want to talk numbers, but it's huge, and it always has been. But we have things built like specifically around it. It's like its own, like the Expedite team, like those guys, they're like their own, it's a different breed too, and I mean, they've got their own track and trace team. They've got their own, EDI setups. They got their own everything because, we went through it back in the day when there was not many of us and didn't have that team structure. We were all, up 24/7 if it had to be, but if I got to pay, there was a night that I was up, didn't sleep the entire night, because when something goes wrong on one of those, you got to call our owner, and he's not the nicest in the world at the middle of the night. And I paid $14,000 to get a plane to pick up 2 pallets in Minnesota and get it to Windsor, to save a plant shutdown.
That's cheap.
Fun. Came out of my bonus for the next hour of time, but it was, but yeah, that was cheap. Yeah. Compared to what, there's times that, we have shut a plant down. It was I think we shut it down for 24 minutes and it was a $32,000 bill. So it just depends on the plant, depends on the customer, but some of those there's some that are worse than that. Like there's some,
because they're at the Hardee's over at the Love's truck stop getting a sourdough burger.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it's a team, but the guy's in there going to the bathroom, remember?
The hard part is like, there are genuine breakdowns in Expedite. It does happen. And so it's just having that network to recover. So like we have people come to us all the time. They're like, can you give me a flatbed truck? And I'm like, I could. I did that a ton in my background. I refuse. And the reason I refuse to do that is if something goes wrong, I can't help you at midnight. I don't have someone else on speed dial. So I'd rather turn that business down and go, I'll give you a contact. So I love utilizing my network. Christy, I love utilizing my network, right? And I send people all different ways, because that's what we really should be doing, is putting the experts in those types of situations, because I don't want to tie my name or my company to something that I can't recover. So if it's an LTL shipment, I have clients come to me and they're like, can you handle this? And I'm like, you do see the name of my company. It's the opposite spectrum of an LTL shipment, but they're like, yeah, just do it. So I'm like, I'm doing it. And then of course, some LTL company doesn't pick up. And then my client's like, can you just hotshot this at the same cost? And I'm like, no, I had told you that to do it, it's a totally different animal. You can't do that. So it's understanding what you should take, how you should do it, what you should delegate out to different companies. And in my opinion, which I could be wrong for other people, but for myself and my company, I'm going to stay in my niche.
And understanding how it's built, and knowing your niche in and out, right? So like, you're going to run into situations like, even on our dedicated, like that our assets are running, like even just dedicated, like every day, 2-a-day lanes for Ford, but like still there's still a drop dead time no matter what. Right. So you got to be careful. And at night, a guy breaks down because, you had to pick up a drop trailer late anyways. You got to make something happen. But the thing is if you realize, you're going down to Louisville, it's a big plant, and when you get on, if you know how it works, there are power onlys that sit there. They know what's going on. Like they know at 1 a.m. they're sitting there by their phone. They slept all day and they're sitting down there just over the bridge in Louisville waiting. Right. And when you need a power only to go get your trailer because your guy broke down because you want to shut a plant down, they know what they're doing. And like, it's cool because like you get on there and you call them and you're like, it's because it's such a specific thing that Oh yeah, I've been in there. I know exactly what I'm doing. Yep. All right. Yep. What's the trailer number? I'll get over there. Yep. I'm on it. Yep. I'll get tracking too. I know you need that, right, for your customer. Yep. On it. Like, it's just like they know they've done it so many times, and they're great at it too.
They're like 12 grand.
And they know they're getting paid well. At 2 a.m. they're getting paid well. So
Yeah.
but just knowing that, right? Just knowing, and then maybe getting to know one of them. Hey, Bill, what are you doing? When are you going out and sitting? I like to be able to just call your cell, if something were to happen, and build those relationships.
Yeah, I had my $5,000
Well,
where I knew every time I call him, he'd go 5,000. But I could call him on Sunday and Christmas Eve if it was, and he would go do what I needed him to do. So those are also great.
And the rate. So you know what? When the customer calls it at whatever time on Christmas Eve, you say, "Hey, I got a guy at 5K. I'm gonna slap $500 on it because I'm up," and there you go.
Yep.
Yeah, absolutely. I was just going to agree with you, Nicole, because probably 3 or 4 times in the last 3 weeks, I passed on where we can provide, like, say, a 40-foot option to a customer just because of where I know they needed to be. And I referred them to another company that could do it and cut me out because it didn't make sense. But now I'm getting truck opportunities or rail opportunities from that customer. And not that we can't do 40 opportunities, but what he needed done now is getting done by someone else. So it's like they appreciate you more because you're doing that. Because I'm not, same with you, I'm not going to do stuff and say I can do it and fail, because then you just lose all of it. And now we're gaining more business because I'm referring customers out for other pieces that we know we just can't do right now. So
I did that with you, Christy. Remember? We had a customer that wanted intermodal, and
you did.
At least our Fort Wayne office, we don't have that. We've got access to some stuff, but it's not our niche, like you guys have said it. As we grow, I'm sure we'll probably have somebody that come in and start a division. But she really wanted to do this for a customer, help them out, and I just was like, "Hey, here's Christy. I got it. Email. Put Christy right in the email." They started. Christy assigned a rep to her. They started going back and forth, and we were just going to do maybe a co-broker agreement, whatever you want to call it, and just get it done. And I'm not sure it came from that. I think the customer maybe balked or whatever it was, but still, there's a huge email chain with all this discussion, and they were learning and making relationships and knowing that, hey, I've got somebody I can call if I need it. And it looked good to the customer, right? And we were looking at like not getting. I'm like, you know what? I told her, because this is a great customer. I said, just get it covered. Don't worry about making any money. Who cares? Like, just the fact you're doing it goes a long way to get you more business from what you are good at, and let Christy benefit off it because she's helping. Right. That's just the way to look at it.
Yeah. Well, you know what? I just talked to Megan the other day because she asked us on another 40-foot project and out of Chicago. It's a nightmare right now. And it was something we couldn't help her with, but I called her to say, hey, I have a company that can help you. But then the customer kind of pulled back on the project, I think, for right now with the issues. But I said, if it comes up again, let me know. I'll do a referral for you, because I don't need to be the middle person in that too. Because at the end of the day, someone else is going to be doing that work. But then obviously when there's things we can do, we will. So, but it was a good conversation with Megan, and, it's awesome to be able to share and do that. Because that's, again, you wouldn't do that stuff like in the past when I first got in the industry, you wouldn't think to do that, but it's beneficial to do that. So I love it.
Like, I wouldn't even say like my customers' names out loud. I'd be like, yeah, I'm shipping for, this one guy. It's like, all right, well, it doesn't really, at this point, it doesn't matter. But yeah, Megan, it's awesome. I get to deal with her now every day. I did transition roles to Director of Regional Development. So my job right now is to expand some offices. I'm working to get her a brick and mortar office down in Phoenix, Arizona. She's super motivated, recruiting. Hired Aaron Smetax Medic is on her team. We're building that team around it. She's so hungry, and she's always been such just a producer. It's so cool to watch and talk to her about the transition of going from producer to leader. Going from worrying about what you're doing to worrying about what others are doing, because what they're doing is benefiting you, and what you're doing is benefiting them. And she's high strung because that's what makes her good. So a lot of what I'm doing with her is just letting her know to just trust me on this. We're putting in processes, we're putting in new people. I was on a call with her the other day, just talking about transitioning, and I just had an idea, and I was like, you know what? Hang on, stay on the line. Called Brandon Bay, tagged him in, and me and him have almost like an identical freight childhood, whatever you want to call it.
With the same person.
And we always talk about that. The hardest transition from going to a producer to a manager where you had control of what was going on of your freight. Now you're just trusting that somebody else does. And Brandon made a good point. He's like, you know what? You're just never going to have, nobody's going to do it 100% the way you did it. And he's like, but if you can get them to get to 70% of about 70% of the way you did it, and you get about 5, 6, 7, 8 of those, now you got 8 people at 70% rather than putting all your time into trying to get one person to do 100%. And, I thought it was a great point that he made, and it made Megan feel better. And that's just the realization of network, right? I don't know what everything, sometimes it's even on the tip of my tongue and I'll explain it. I can call Brandon Bay, I can call, Chrissy, I can call anybody, and just, it just, not only does it make it seem more, comforting to that person and they trust, but now they've got somebody they can reach out to. Now they've got another part of the network to learn from.
With Megan, if she ever wants to reach out to me, that was my favorite transition. That changed me from going from producer to leader. I didn't think I would like it. I did it. I was so hesitant and resistant to it. And then it changed everything, because then I fell in love with leading people. And so if she ever wants to chat, that is like,
that was, for me,
I
that was
would
my,
think back to that time and go, I love that time of my life.
it wasn't just that, but it was a growing up thing for me too. I mean, I was an asshole. I mean, I was, because I went from being so good at what I did with these accounts, and then now, and I dictated my income, and then now my income's dictated by all these people, and they're not doing it the way I did it, and they're not doing this and that. And it's tough. But you just have to change your mindset on it. And when I found out that I was going from producer to manager, I was on a trip. I was on a trip to visit a customer that I had for 2 years that I wanted to see so bad. I finally got to see him. And on the way back, I got the news that I was going to go to director of the account management, and that customer then that I wanted to see for so long, and that I had so much, late nights with, covered, oh my gosh, so much freight for him. Got to see him. It was so awesome. Everybody in the office that knew me, it was weird. The guy was like, I've never seen that before. TJ, what's going on, man? And we're in the plane on the way back, and I get the news that I'm going to the director of whatever, and I'm going to oversee the accounts, and I'm not going to be working one-on-one with this customer anymore. I got to find somebody to work with him. And I got emotional. I'm not lying to you. I was like sad. I'm not lying to you. I put so much time. I made so many good friends there. I was so passionate about it. And I finally got to meet him. The day I got to meet him, I was so excited. It was like the best thing ever. And then now I'm not going to be working with him. It was hard at first. It was weird. I'm like, why am I emotional? What is going on right now? I'm feeling weird. I don't have emotions, but for freight, I do. I love freight. So, but yeah, it was a weird transition, but it's what really grew me as a person. That's where I really learned to be humble. It was because I have to start learning all over again. I'm not mastered at this.
Yeah. But just to be able to watch people learn, and
it's awesome.
I had one lady that was started on my team, and she always would say, I can't. And to watch this transition, I call her badass. I'm always like, you're badass, because she just got that out of her vocabulary and just started applying. But to watch that transition over 2.5 years is different person. It's awesome. So cool.
And then as you grow too, you get people that you put a lot of time and effort into developing. And I'm not gonna say you forget about them, but as we've grown, we've gotten so big that our office has expanded to different divisions and stuff. I'll walk over to the Expedite group to talk about something, and someone will come up, and Jason today was one of my first ones that I kind of mentor. He's like, oh, TJ, what are you finagling now? TJ's got his hands on some freight. And somebody's kind of laughing. That was newer, and he's like, oh yeah, TJ taught me everything. And I kind of forgot it. I forgot I even did. I forgot, not that I did, but I forgot that that's what. And sometimes you don't even know that they think that way. That they think that they valued that. Oh yeah, he was it, man. He taught me everything I know. He got me where I am, and I'm like, I never thought of it that way, did I? That's what they think. Sometimes you affect them more than what you know, because there's so many things going on, and so it's a good feeling. It's just just to be able to spread that culture.
I agree.
And I don't know what I taught him. I probably taught him a bunch of wrong stuff, but it's still fun. Tony,
I know I'm going off topic to ask you a question, Tony, but how is your new gig going? How has this whole transition been for you? Have you been learning a ton of stuff?
I have been learning
he has no freight.
So much. Yeah, we don't have any freight. We deliver local on our local fleet. So
Will Jenkins, Will Jenkins, his head wants to explode every time. Tony's always like, well, if I had freight, this is how I do it. And Will's like, oh my God, Tony, you have like, stop saying, oh my God. It's so funny to hear him go back and forth.
Well, every time we do this,
He
I
just
get hit
doesn't
up
want to use
tomorrow.
them.
No,
Yeah.
I would love to use Will. I just don't have anything to give him. But every time I go on here, I'll have 25 connection requests tomorrow, and the DMs will be, how can I help you? Here's our full service brochure of everything that we do everywhere, and all of our assets and contracts and all that. So I just always
They got
don't have
into it
anything.
last week. Remember Tony, and Tony changes his name to, or I go, well, come on, Tony. Like, we're just giving him a hard time. I go, you know what? That's bullshit. I said, hey, everybody, Tony's got a ton of freight. Hey, what's your email, Tony? Go call Tony Darnell. He's got a ton of freight. New broker, call him. He'll set you up. And he's like, so he changes his name to I have no freight, something like that. And so I changed.
What about intermodal freight? Do you have any intermodal freight?
What about expedite freight? You have any expedite freight?
Yeah, every load we
Expedite
have
intermodal.
right now is hot because everything that comes off the line is late. Only because our inbound stuff is late. The whole supply chain thing. But no, I love it. I love the culture. We're growing, and we're growing so fast that we're sometimes they're not even able to manage the growth at the rate that we're growing, and it's a challenge. But like I knew going in, I came from a well-oiled machine to the Wild West almost on discipline and routine and SOPs and procedures, and not that it's not bad. It just needed a lot of finesse, right? You can't change a culture of this is how we've always done it overnight, and it has been a struggle. This is probably the hardest challenge I've ever taken on in the career, and that includes being self-employed as an owner op. And I'll tell you, I'm putting in longer days now than you people out there on the broker's phone gigs, and 12-hour days, Saturdays. I started my first week it started in September and ended in October. So I say October is when I started, and I've missed 3 Saturdays.
Wow, you are a busy man.
So,
but I guess my last question for you is, what have you changed? Because when you go to Wild West and you come from SOP world, you have had to have implemented some stuff that's just been crazy good.
Well, it's hard to change a team of people that functions in a way that is ongoing. This is the way we taught, this way we've always done it, to here's how I want you to do it. Here's what this will help accomplish. You won't have this problem to chase down in 2 months when it finally hits this report if you do it right now and spend the extra 5 minutes to fix it now, 5-10 minutes now versus hours later to chase stuff down. And getting people to understand that, and it's like sticking your finger in the dam. You got to plug the leak first before you get somebody in there to fix it. And then once you're fixing it, then you can start looking at what is that process? How can we repeat it? How can we train everybody to that same standard and then repeat it and repeat it and repeat it?
Well, how hard is it to find that balance though? I mean, I remember doing that.
It's really hard. I could shut everything down and fix it in a week.
Don't want to go.
You can't stop and shut everything down and fix it. You have to continue to go today.
And there's a benefit sometimes that like it was like we need structure. I was creating SOPs, but I wanted people to still like think freely and like be aggressive and like have that cool, like slang some freight, you know what I mean? Like come up with cool ideas and like balancing that structure and like how many rules you actually have and actually being able to have some freedom, maybe some more guidelines than anything for people to actually think and grow. Do you see that often at where you're at, Tony? Is that like
oh my gosh, there's been more opportunity. I have to pull myself out of it because I'll lose myself in the forest for the trees. And, that's a weakness I have in my leadership skills that I need to work on. But we'll get in there, and I love to let people try new stuff. We'll give anything a shot. It's okay to fail. Just learn from it and take that and try something else until it works. I don't know if I've ever really been in an environment where it's so encouraged. I'm afraid to fail because I've always been afraid of being punished career-wise for making a call that was a bad call. And, I got to sit down with a great leader, mentor guy, and I love him to death, and he's not my boss anymore, but he sat down and he goes, man, there's this machine over there, cost X number of dollars. And it was over there, and it's still over there. And it's been sitting there for 2 years, hasn't made one stinking part, cost all these dollars. And 2 years, that guy's the GM now. you got to not be afraid to fail. You just have to learn from it and take another chance until you're successful. As long as you're making educated, informed decisions, if they don't work, it's okay. We'll just keep going. We'll keep going until it does. And that is a cool environment to be a part of. But man, it's scary when it's new.
Hey,
Yeah.
I would like to say that is how I run my business, and I let them make decisions. And if it's the wrong decision, we just pivot and try something else and try something else. And like, that's the atmosphere we have, because we don't know it all, and you just have to try those things. And I will say, we hired a new director of business, or senior director of operations, last year. And he came from like Route 21, Advanced Auto Parts, Dick's Sporting Goods. He ran their supply chain in those facilities. So then coming on our side, he's very, same with you, very SOP organized, all that kind of stuff. But we had a conversation today, same exact thing you just said, working with some of our management and team and saying, well, this is how we've always done it. And it's like, okay, but we need to do it this way, and this is why. And I want to look 5 years back from now and say, look at what we've done. And you can't do that if you don't make changes. It's not always what it was. You just have to keep moving forward and make changes. So what you said was like spot on.
Yeah.
I lead my team that way. And I it's a terrible analogy, but I always tell people, I'll give you enough rope to either climb out of the hole that we're in or hang yourself with it. And what you do with the rope is on you. And I get as a leader, I give a ton of freedom for my team to do that and help empower them. But as somebody being led, I am afraid to build a ladder out of that rope, and I will screw up and I'll hang myself. And that is a definite weakness that I have. So it's cool to be able to be in that environment and push myself to learn, to change, to be better.
Successful people learn how to do hard things really well. I mean, that's just how it is. I mean,
Yep.
they do difficult things until they become simply normal to them.
Yeah. And then the chaos
taking
is
risks.
calm. It's like
Mhm.
you're just used to chaos. And when there's no chaos, it's like, what's going on?
It's weird. And I used to screw myself over
Right.
on that too. Cause like, it'd be
And
like, my wife needs me home. Like she told me 4 times that there's a T-ball game tonight. And man, they sent over 4 hot loads out of the port down in Port Island, Louisiana. And I should not bid these right now. And I bid them. And then I wanted the adrenaline rush, and now I'm late because I'm covering these. Like, yeah, it was like calm. I could have left. I didn't have to bid those loads, but I wanted to do it. And it was like, then I'm like rushing home. Like, I don't know what it is. It's like, I could have just took the easy way, but
That's addiction. That's
I gotta talk to somebody.
It's the challenge. I think it's the challenge of saying you can do it, because I remember working in the pricing department a little bit, and I'd call my brother and say, okay, I have this lane, like what price should I ask for? And he'd give me a price, and I'd ask for like $300 less than what he said. And then I'd get the actual price from the rail, and I'd be like, yes, like that was awesome. It's like the challenge of knowing like you actually can do it, not just that you can leave it and go, but then you actually did it, and the satisfaction. At least that's what I feel, when you have those wins and do that. So
yeah, it's like, when they have 5 loads and they're all picking up same day by 4, and it's like that morning, and like the capacity's already tight, and then you're like,
terrible.
Somebody tells you to take 3, and you're like I'm only gonna take 3, and then like you go to send the email and you're like, all 5. Oh God, here we go.
I was like, why?
Like,
I can't do that. I won't do that.
I do it. I do it.
That shit scares me.
And that's when you see me in handle it mode. That's when I pop straight out of my chair and I'm rolling over. I need you on here. We're doing this, blah, 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 blah. Next thing I know, it's like 4 in the afternoon. And it's like, I got off for 5 loads. Like, what? I don't know. But teach their own. Tony doesn't do that. Tony he's got a local fleet, no freight.
That's right. We delivered on our fleet. I am a carrier. Leave me alone.
Why don't you just retire, Tony?
I'm getting there.
You've already done it all, Tony. Why don't you just retire? You've hauled horses. You've done it all.
I've had I've had a couple of little branches into stuff, but I'm just a small little piece, man. I've got so much to learn. That's why I come on here and learn from you guys, the experts.
Dude, I've taught you a lot.
The craziest.
What did I tell you the other day? It said what'd you say? Like, yeah, we were texting about you being a 30-year veteran or whatever. And I said, I can relate, as a 6-year industry veteran, you know, I think me and you were on the same page mentally here on this or whatever. You just set like all these laughy faces and like get real or something. But yeah,
I don't know
no, I
if
mean,
could
it's,
share how my response really was.
it feels like 30 years. That's the weird part. I mean, I always say you age in freight years. I mean, I know I did.
And like dog years or 7
Yeah,
years.
it's like freight years.
everyone.
Yeah, like
It's
my
way
hairline
worse
went
than
back
freight.
way faster than if I was like a librarian. You know what I mean?
For
Like,
sure.
All this gray, this isn't from kids. This is from
Freight
freight.
wrinkles. That's what I would say. Freight wrinkles. That's
freight
what-
bod is what I always call it. Like they could try to say dad bod, I call it freight bod. Like I could like go to the gym, or I could like get on and bid 7 more loads. Like I'm definitely bidding the load. Sorry. So it just depends on what you're doing. But I thought
You're that guy.
go ahead.
You're that guy that everyone's looking to hire because you're willing to do that when.
Oh, when most somebody hit mute on her. Did you just get muted?
Yeah, by accident I hit it. But
Oh.
I said you're that guy that everyone's looking to hire because you're willing to put in the work and the effort that some people just, you know, don't have. Or
They don't want to hire the guy that's going to do biceps, back and biceps that night. Well, I will tell you this though. I've seen a lot of people that are willing to
So
do
like, if you're going to the gym, I'm not hiring you.
that. Yeah. He's like, Anytime Fitness. If you have an Anytime membership, Anytime Fitness membership, that's on the the application. But I will say this though, I had a great mentor in our owner and now our VP, and that have went through it as well, and they would step in front when I would get to where I mean, they know what it's like to burn out. They've seen people burn out and you lose talent that way. And I was lucky to have that. I fought it for a little bit. But I don't know, there's just times that they just, you're not working tomorrow. You just go, it's a Saturday or something, go take your family here or whatever, whatever it was, like little things like that, or like you didn't know exactly what they were doing, but that's what they were doing. And I see that. I mean, you see that there's people like that, and I've seen them not last because of it. I've seen their lives get, bad or just because of it. And so that's, as a leader, I think that's one thing too, as well, is just recognizing that and just mentoring them on the fact that, hey, you can get efficient at this. You can be really good within a short amount of time, rather than just like mediocre across, 15 hours where you could put in X amount of really solid hours. It's all about efficiency and balance and knowing where to put your efforts. And you're going to let people down because you have to prioritize what's important, what isn't, but it's okay as long as you communicate. And so like, that's just what I really like work to do, because I was lucky that I didn't even see it, what they were doing to help me. But yeah, you can burn out easy in this industry for sure.
Yeah. Well, I'm so glad you guys had me back on here. I want to come back on and meet Will. I've talked to him, I think via LinkedIn, but I would love to come back on and.
Will's cool. You would like him.
Will.
He's him and Andrew Silver over at Molo too. He's cool. But everybody, this is where it's at.
I from love.
Everybody loves Will. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, everybody loves Will.
Got a dad joke in there.
Oh yeah. So what's the difference?
Yeah.
What's the difference between a Zippo and a Hippo?
Go for it, TJ.
One's a little lighter. No,
No.
Tony. No,
One's a big heavy animal. The other one's a little lighter.
You got it now.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
Thank you.
Christy, it's always awesome to have you on. Thank you for being a titan of the industry who happens to be female. And Nicole, great to have you back.
I
Nicole,
love
Love
it.
hanging
whatever.
out with you.
Like,
TJ.
Thank you very much.
Yes, guys. Like,
Thank you. It was great.
yeah, it is too. It is cool. And it's like, it's one of those things where people know you guys, and people know us now because of LinkedIn. But like, it's one of those things where like, oh, TJ, yeah, you were on that show with Nicole Glenn. I'm like, yeah, Antonio Darnell and Brandon Baby. Like, I mean, you guys are important to a lot of people. I mean, I'm serious though, because like, one thing with Circle as we've expanded too is just, I've always had a push for bringing women in, just because especially as account managers, at least in my experience, and what I've been able to do, they've been great. And like, so just the amount of women now that we have that are just killing it, they follow you guys. I mean, like, big time. And so like, just the fact that it's not TJ because he's has a show and stuff. It's the fact that Nicole Glenn and Christy Knisher, I've seen you on shows with them or whatever. Like, yeah, it was my show. You know what I mean? So
ladies on your team, guys, though, if they have any ideas, topics, need help with anything with their career stages, send them our way. We want to be able to help and see if we can get them insight and pick their brains, create
Absolutely.
shows around them, whatever it is. Please, Tony, I know you already made mention of a hookup for me to talk to. Like, please, we really want to do something good to help our industry and women in general.
What you've done, your success, your clout matters too. Megan reached out to, she wanted to do the leadership class. I believe Chrissy, was that you that got her involved? Talked to her about a women's leadership class or what?
I did.
And so, but she
Yep.
she ended up having
I
circle
did.
involved.
Yep.
And I felt comfortable. My owners are kind of old school, but I felt comfortable being like, hey, Megan Reed wants to do this, blah blah blah, and wants to see if it could be paid for by the company. She was referred by Chrissy Knichel. And just the fact that they knew who you were. You know what I mean? Like sometimes as an owner, you got a lot of people coming to you like asking things, but like that was just like a kind of a validation. So it does go little things like that. You don't even realize that matter. So
You guys probably have a lot more clout than you think.
Well, yeah, and what I'll tell you about that is I have all my women leaders going through that program now, and they've already actually, a couple of them have done like a side program, and like, I just feel that sometimes we've had male consultants in as well, but then having a female work with the females sometimes can be different too. So
Yep.
I'm very interested to see how this all worked out. I know it worked out before, but it's great. It's good stuff. Thank you for sharing that. That's awesome.
Yeah, so please, Tony, send your wife even my way. I want to
I
chat
will,
with her.
definitely.
All right.
said your wife is a leader, and she is, because he told me when they go to Disneyland, she leads him around the whole way. Where'd you go? You couldn't
Hey,
drive.
listen,
Oh, it's Vegas.
all
Oh,
the
we were walking.
wives lead.
That's what it was. Remember, we were walking on the strip in Vegas, and I'm like, Tony, why are you following me so close, like behind me? Why you walk next to me? He's like, well, I'm used to going on vacation with my wife, and I just follow her around. She's got all the plans and everything. I don't have to think. And I'm like, Tony, you're
love it.
not out with your wife. You get up next to me. This is weird.
I plan truckloads and trucks and loads all day, every day. And when I'm out with my wife, when we're on vacation, she's the planner. She has it all done, and it's really a relief. And it is such a nice
I get it.
piece.
But I'm aggressive. I'm flying
break.
through people I just come in and just say what I want to say and do everything. He's right with me the whole time. It was a good dynamic, but it was funny though. I was like, oh, that's fun.
I came in third place in the 100-meter mosey.
Oh,
I don't even know what that means.
that's when
I
the
was
tourist won the
moseying
race.
along while he's power walking at the mall.
The tourist won the race. It was
This
just
sounded good.
No, there's dad
against other
joke.
tortoises. That's the problem.
Ladies, thanks again for coming
Uh-oh.
on. And if you guys out there watching don't follow them, you need to, for real. Use Christy for your intermodal anything, and use Candor for anything that you need to expedite. Don't use me because I don't have anything.
Oh, hey, everybody, call Tony.
You sure handle it, and I don't
Yeah,
have any
nothing.
freight.
Hey, send him a LinkedIn message. His inbox is empty. Hey,
Gosh, it's always full.
but yeah, so Nicole or Christy, send me a link to your Women's Leadership Coalition thing. So when I reshare everything, I'll put that in there. We'll push that out as well. But it was awesome. I mean, I found out I had to do this as as a dad. You got dad jokes, but you also got dad jobs. But I knew Nicole and Chris were coming. I wasn't gonna miss it. So made it happen. It was a little rough, but we got it done. So I look forward to going back and listening to the first part where I was in there trying to negotiate with the Wi-Fi password. So
Well, thank you guys.
Thank
all right,
you.
thanks, guys.
Thank you. We'll see you.
Have a good night.
You too.
Bye.